The number of passengers at the Araneta Center bus terminal in Cubao, Quezon City remains lower than expected. Meanwhile, personnel from the Department of Transportation and attached agencies are all set and ready for the expected high volume of passengers for tomorrow's holiday. From Araneta Bus Terminal, Asher Cadapan Jr. will tell us why live. Asher, go ahead.
Good evening, Diego. Looking at the number of passengers here in Araneta Center Bus Terminal in Cubao, Quezon City, as of this time, it seems as if it is just a normal day here at the terminal. The place is not fully packed with people, and there are several buses with available seats, contrary to what was expected by the authorities. There are no queues at the ticketing booths and buses. Because there is just a low volume of passengers arriving every hour. Those who have not been able to reserve tickets were still able to get a seat and leave without delay. According to some bus drivers, it is probably due to Typhoon Rosita that others chose not to travel for the holiday. The management of the bus terminal expected high volume of passengers to arrive since earlier this noon, but after an increase of about 100 passengers at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, the number of passengers remains the same. The Land Transportation Office conducted inspections around Araneta Center bus terminal yesterday and restrained a bus driver from driving after yielding positive in drug test. The license of the driver was suspended, and a case may also be filed against him, according to authorities. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board also checked the condition and permits of the passenger buses before leaving the terminal. Traffic enforcers were also augmented in Quezon City, Pasay City, and Manila due to expected influx of vehicles along with the heavy traffic. According to the Department of Transportation, they have been monitoring 24 hours a day, hand in hand with major attached agencies to ensure preparedness for UNDAS 2018. The Department of Transportation reminds the passengers to follow the rules being implemented by the agencies to ensure everyone's safety. The DOTR and its attached agencies' hotlines, as well as their social media accounts, are open for public concerns. Diego?
Yes, thank you. Asher Cadapan Jr. reporting live from the Araneta Bus Terminal. Philippine National Police is on high alert for the upcoming long weekend and activities related to the observance of UNDAS. Let's find out why from Victor Cosare.
The Philippine National Police have doubled the number of its personnel on the streets ahead of the annual observance of Catholics UNDAS on November 1 and 2. PNP Director General Oscar Albayalde says the police force across the country has been placed under full alert to ensure the security of millions of people who are set to go to cemeteries and travel to provinces to take advantage of the long weekend. Albayalde also made rounds in Araneta Bus Terminal and Manila North and South cemeteries earlier to check on the security measures prepared for the upcoming UNDAS and expected influx of travelers. He also reminded the public to avoid bringing prohibited items, including flammable materials, bladed and pointed weapons, firearms, and illegal drugs when going to terminals and cemeteries. Authorities have confiscated some knives, forks, needles, and other pointed objects during an inspection in the Araneta Bus Terminal earlier. A passenger was also taken in for questioning after he was found carrying M16 rifle bullets in his baggage.
No, as of this time, wala tayong nakuhang report whatsoever nationwide of any untoward incident except dito lang na may nakuhang mga mangilan-ngilan na pirasong bala kaninang umaga. Nasa station na he is being investigated at ang tinitingnan natin kung talagang totoo yung kanyang alibay na napulot lang niya yun.
Albayalde also reminded bus drivers to be careful and ensure that they are well enough to drive long hours. He also advised passengers to travel light, secure their homes, and ask a trustworthy neighbor to look after their house before leaving.
So far wala tayong nakuhang threat whatsoever. Although sabi ko nga, with or without any threat, kailangan natin bantayan yung ating mga kababayan.
And though satisfied with the security measures, the PNP chief still plans to augment police forces and deploy reserve security standby force in cemeteries, malls, and other public places.
So far, okay naman. Napakahigpit, no? Napakahigpit na pinapatupad na security ng ating kapulisan together with the security agency na in charge dito sa North Cemetery.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Rescuers continue to dig through the mud to search for survivors after a massive landslide covered a building in the town of Natonin when Typhoon Rosita pummeled the mountain province Tuesday. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
8 workers have pulled out 6 survivors from a massive landslide that hit a building of the Department of Public Works and Highways in Sitio Haprang in the town of Natonin Mountain Province. The landslide was set off by Typhoon Rosita when it battered the region Tuesday. 2 bodies were also retrieved and at least 21 more people are feared trapped in the landslide, according to Office of the Civil Defense Cordillera Regional Director Ruben Carangdan. Around 14 policemen, rescuers, and volunteers are scrambling to find more survivors in the site using shovels and their hands because larger equipment could not go through roads that were blocked by smaller landslides. In a separate landslide incident in Sitio Imisan, still in the town of Natonin, the body of a man identified as Jofret Nagawa was retrieved by rescuers around 6:30 p.m. Tuesday. In total, there are 15 landslide incidents reported in Natonin Paracelis Road in Mountain Province. During Typhoon Rosita's onslaught, clearing operations are underway. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte plans to visit Mountain Province and other areas that were heavily affected by the storm. According to presidential spokesperson and Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, Duterte wants to see these areas on Thursday.
Directive niya sa yung cabinet mayors, pupunta kami sa typhoon ravaged area.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
9 deaths were reported due to the onslaught of Typhoon Rosita. The Office of Civil Defense reports that 3 of which were landslide victims in Barangay Natonin Mountain Province. 4 were recorded in Ifugao, 1 in Kalinga, and 1 in Apayao. OCD spokesperson Director Edgar Posadas adds that 29 people are reported missing in the landslide in Natonin. The victims, identified as engineers, security guards, and employees, were trapped inside a DPWH building. The Mines and Geosciences Bureau, or MGB, has also certified the area as heavy landslide prone.
Isang building siya na pataas wala pang masyadong bubong, pero bago. Yes, dito sa pinandala nilang picture, the before and the after. Hindi mo makikita na yun yung after. Kasi hindi mo akalain na yung laki ng building na yun would be toppled down by mud.
The government of Casiguran Aurora has yet to provide details on the amount of damage left by Typhoon Rosita. Local authorities also expect to restore power supply in several barangays in the municipality. Nel Marie Buhok tells us why.
A day after the onslaught of Typhoon Rosita, residents in Casiguran Aurora can be seen cleaning and repairing what was left of their homes and livelihoods. The family of Rolando Osayo was among the more than 700 families who immediately returned to their home by the coast when the weather improved. Rolando says they have to repair their roof that was ripped off by strong winds.
Malakas din.
Esther Matias was also busy salvaging what was left of their crops. She was trying to dry it off under the sun in order to sell it to a lower price of 100 from the usual 140 pesos per ganta. Esther admits she no longer know where to get the money to pay off their debts after losing their expected 20,000 peso income after the typhoon damaged their 1 hectare of rice field.
Ito sa amin po ito.
Ano po, kamusta naman po ng bagyo?
Ay, natumba po lahat. Wala na po kaming makukuha siguro pag inani kasi namumulaklak pa lang pag ano na. Kasalo po, nasira po lahat.
Esther calls on the government to provide assistance to farmers and others who were heavily affected by the storm. The local Risk Reduction and Management Council has yet to provide data on the damages left by the Typhoon Rosita. According to Jmar De Leon, the head of Casiguran MDRRMC, they are still conducting assessment in areas ravaged by the storm.
Pero so far sa initial report naman po sa amin ng mga barangay captains, so wala naman kaming reported injuries, casualties, and yung mga bahay hindi ganun talaga napinsala.
Authorities also expect to restore the power supply in several barangays tonight as the local electric cooperative continues to repair the electrical facilities that were toppled by Typhoon Rosita. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Casiguran Aurora.
Several barangays in the town of Ambagyo in Nueva Vizcaya are isolated due to landslide caused by Typhoon Rosita. Monokson will tell us why.
Residents cannot go in and out of several barangays in the town of Ambagyo because of the landslides brought by Typhoon Rosita. Ambagyo is a fifth-class municipality in the mountainous area of Nueva Vizcaya that have more than 16,000 population. Identified barangays that are isolated include Poblacion, Amueg, Duli, Labang, Napo, Salingsingan, and Kamandag. There are more or less 6,000 residents in the said barangays.
Kung hindi matatanggal po yun, ang Ambagyo po ay hindi makakababa o wala silang magagamit na lugar.
The town of Ambagyo is a dangerous place because it's a landslide-prone area, especially during strong typhoons. The Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council said the landslide occurred earlier this morning because of the recent strong rains. UNTV News team tried to go to the said barangays. Along the way, we saw areas where small landslide occurred. Our vehicle, however, can no longer push through because of the thick mud on the road, a few kilometers before we reach the first barangay. Even some motorists who attempted to go did not make it.
Magsusundo sana ako ng dyan, yung mga nagtatrabaho po sa Ambagyo, sir.
Tingin mo ba kakayanin ang sakyan mo?
Hindi po, sir. Walang pang-trip po, sir.
The Department of Public Works and Highways will assess the area to know the equipment needed to clear the debris. The DPWH cannot say how long the said barangays will be isolated. The provincial government assured that there is no need to send relief goods because there is enough supply in the affected area. What is needed now is to clear the landslide-affected areas as soon as possible so that residents can go in and out of the said barangays. Monhokson, UNTV, News and Rescue, Nueva Vizcaya.
As the weather improves in Isabela, residents have begun repairing their roofs that were ripped off by winds brought by Typhoon Rosita. The Isabela Electric Cooperative has also begun repairing toppled electric posts, though they are not sure exactly when they can restore power supply for the rest of the barangays. Let's find out why from Joanano.
Typhoon Rosita lashed the province of Isabela on Tuesday with strong winds that decimated over 600 houses. Based on the latest tally of the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, 613 houses were totally damaged while 2,614 are partially destroyed. As the weather improved in Isabela, residents began repairing their houses, with many of them salvaging iron sheets that the winds ripped off roofs and carried away. Scattered sheets of plywood were collected and used to build temporary shelters.
Kahit yung mga luma na lang na yero, basta meron lang po kami tirahan. Dugtungan na lang namin.
Meanwhile, the Isabela Electric Cooperative has begun repairs on toppled electric posts and restoration of power supply.
Balikwan lang ito, ma'am. Backbone line, boundary to Kwan, Del Pilar hanggang Victoria. Para pag pumasok yung kuryente, ma'am, highway lang, backbone line lang. Wala pa yung mga barangay. Marami talagang napatid na wire sa mga natumba na poste.
Last time, it took the cooperative 4 days to restore electricity after Typhoon Ompong hit the province. Since Rosita's impact is much harsher, they could not say exactly when they can restore power supply for the rest of the barangays. At present, water supply is slowly being restored while the provincial government continues to assess the damage left by the typhoon. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Ilagan, Isabela.
A group of Filipinos working in Saipan calls on the Philippine government to send assistance after Typhoon Yutu severely ravaged their homes and affected their jobs. Ray Pelayo tells us why in this exclusive report.
Some overseas Filipino workers in Saipan sent some photos to UNTV News showing the damages brought about by Typhoon Yutu on October 24 before it lashed the Philippines. OFW Rheena Di Malanta calls on the Philippine government for assistance after the typhoon greatly affected the lives of a number of Filipinos in the island territory.
Marami pong mga Pilipino na nangangailangan ng ating assistance, lalo na sa ating gobyerno sa Pilipinas. Marami pong mga walang bahay, tubig, at pagkain na ating na mga kababayan. May lalo na po yung mga nasa liblib yung kanilang mga bahay. Wala pong way para makahigip sila ng tubig.
Saipan is the largest island in northern Marianas Islands in the western Pacific that is part of the Commonwealth territory in the United States. It has a population of over 52,000 people based on the 2017 U.S. Census. Jimmy Blancia, a Filipino working in a local radio station, said the Saipan government does not provide calamity assistance to non-citizens such as OFWs, and so he joins Rheena in asking Filipino government for help.
But ang ating mga kababayan dito as overseas Filipino contract workers, they are not qualified. Kaya po nakakaawa sila na wala silang matatanggap na financial assistance mula po sa US government.
Lancia said their jobs were also badly affected by the typhoon. That's why they are hoping to get the attention of the Philippine government and extend help to Filipinos affected by the calamity.
Kami po ay nananawagan sa national government on behalf of our beloved President Rodrigo Roa Duterte na ay tingnan ang aming sitwasyon at makontak ang Department of Foreign Affairs.
UNTV immediately notified Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III and the Department of Foreign Affairs. They promised to immediately address the matter.
Magpapadala ito ng assistance. So,
Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The La Union Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office still prohibits surfing and sailing until the weather gets better in the province. Meanwhile, residents in San Fernando, La Union who evacuated have already returned to their homes. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Fishermen in Barangay Ilocano Sur, San Fernando, La Union have returned their motorboats near the shores. They also have started cleaning their motorboats as the strong wind subsides.
No, ang sardang dati angin na. So, tumapugak.
No, kumalmada pa si Jedanom na sa mentong agsublite ka pinagtapog.
La Union Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, or PDRRMO Chief Rolly Rolyoda, reminds the public that the suspension of any marine activities will not be lifted yet until the weather gets better in the province.
Hindi pa rin sila pwedeng pumalaot sapagkat nandiyan pa yung Typhoon Rosita sa paligid ng Philippine Area of Responsibility.
Meanwhile, compared to that of Typhoon Umpong, there are only fewer evacuees this time.
Noong nakikita na ng mga local executive na medyo okay na itong mga sitwasyon, pinauwi na yung mga nasa evacuees, lalo yung mga nasa lugar na hindi na masyadong delikado.
Based on the assessment of the PDRRMO, the damage that the typhoon left was minimal. The whole province also has 0 casualties.
So far, masasabi ko na at least nagre-respond na itong mga kababayan natin, lalo yung mga nasalanta ng mga previous na typhoons.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV, News and Rescue, La Union.
In other news, minimum wage earners in Metro Manila will receive a pay hike in the coming days. However, a labor group says it is not satisfied with the approved wage increase and plans to appeal the new decision. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Metro Manila workers will soon receive a 25 peso daily pay increase to their minimum wage. The Trade Union Congress of the Philippines announced this on Wednesday in a press conference in Quezon City. TUCP spokesperson Alan Tanhusay says the employers group immediately announced the decision right after the meeting with the wage board. However, the labor union is not satisfied as they find the wage increase too low compared with their original pay hike request of 344 pesos a day. The labor group argues that in reality, they will only get 25 pesos from the additional amount because the remaining 10 pesos is already covering their cost of living allowance.
Nag-offer kami ng 100, ang employers ay nag-offer ng 25, pero nung nag-deadlock, nagbotohan, lumabas, nanalo ang 25 pesos dahil nagkuntsabahan ang employer at ang government representative sa wage board.
With the additional amount, Metro Manila workers will receive 537 pesos daily minimum wage once the Labor Department officially announces the pay hike. This includes the 10 peso COLA. But the Employers Confederation of the Philippines says only 7% of the country's workforce population will benefit from the wage hike in Metro Manila. The group argues that even how low the wage increase would be, such as the 25 pesos, such measures still have impact on the employer's sector.
Meron mga mahihirapan, merong hindi kaya yan, magsasara, merong magtatago, merong hindi magkukumply, meron yung magda-downsize, magtataas ng presyo, meron naman yung babawas.
For his part, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says they have yet to receive the recommendation, adding that he might announce the final amount of wage increase by Monday.
Yun ang sinasabi ko nga, wala pang formal report coming from the board. Oo, kung meron mang ganong news, baka leak yan ng mga members ng board. Pero officially, wala pang sinasubmit sa akin ng board.
The TUCP, however, will appeal the new decision and if necessary, they will file for another petition next month to seek for another pay increase, especially because of the rising inflation. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Transportation Department plans to defer the implementation of the 10 peso minimum fare increase in public utility jeepneys, which is supposed to take effect this week. Grace Casin explains why.
The Department of Transportation wants to review the decision of the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to grant the petition of operators and drivers to hike the minimum fare in public utility jeepneys to 10 pesos. The base fare hike is supposed to take effect on November 3, Saturday. DOTR Road Transportation OIC Undersecretary Mark De Leon argues that the agency has power to review the decisions made by its attached agencies. De Leon says they will immediately meet with officials of the LTFRB to discuss the proposed deferment of the implementation of the 10 peso fare hike. De Leon explains that when the transport group filed a petition for fare increase, the price of oil was at $80 per barrel in the world market. But petroleum prices dropped to $70 per barrel this October, so a price hike is deemed unnecessary.
We will be recommending that to LTFRB.
Recommending what
I-hold na muna yung increase.
Passengers welcome the DOTR's move.
Mas makakabuti naman ma'am sa mga commuter ma'am na mamura yung pamasahe. Isang kahig, isang tukaan lang po.
Malaking bagay na kahit paano. Sa panahon ngayon, medyo mahirap ang buhay.
Dapat talaga kung tataas sila ng pamasahe, dapat itaas din nila yung mga sweldo ng mga tao, ng mga manggagawa.
But jeepney drivers were dismayed as they have been looking forward to fare hikes in order to recover from high fuel costs.
Kahit hindi na ipatupad yung dagdag, ibaba na lang yung diesel para makabawi naman kami sa sobrang taas. Ganun lang yun. Pwede rin ipatupad, pwede rin sa hindi, pero medyo naman yung bawas naman yung presyo ng diesel.
Actually, wala naman kasing epekto. Halos lang naman pareho lang naman yun
De Leon also cited Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugali's proposal of having one formula to follow in imposing fare adjustments, which must be based on the price of oil.
Dapat meron tayong parametric formula na kapag ganito ang in-adjust ng fuel, automatic. Hindi na kailangan na pag-usapan pa yan, magiging automatic na yung pag-adjust ng fuel, ng fare increase.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Duterte administration expects the proposed 2019 national budget to be passed on time and signed before the year ends. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The Department of Budget and Management remains positive that the proposed 2019 national budget of 3.757 trillion pesos will be passed and signed this year. Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno says the Congress has been cooperative and that there's no reason for the passage of the budget proposal to be delayed. Jokno also believes that the possibility of House Appropriations Committee Chairperson Carlo Nograles of being appointed as President Duterte's new cabinet secretary will not affect budget deliberations. The administration hopes to sign the bill into law by the third week of December.
I don't see any problem with cooperative naman yung Congress. We're already scheduling the signing of the bill sometime maybe between December 15 to December 20 and target signing of the bill.
DBM meanwhile reports that it has already released 96% of the national budget for 2018 amounting to 3.599 trillion pesos of the 3.767 trillion pesos total budget. Among the major releases for October 2018 are the 34 billion pesos for the implementation of DepEd's basic education program, 1.1 billion pesos subsidy for the Public Utility Modernization Project, and 6.7 billion pesos for the pension differential arrearages of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. DBM also released 662.5 million pesos to replenish the Quick Response Fund of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. This is to cover the relief and rehabilitation and assistance to be provided for those affected by Typhoon Rosita and other calamities that may happen in the country in the last 2 months of the year. Jokno assures they will continue to be transparent regarding the budget releases of the government.
We will continue to provide updates on the status of the 2018 budget, and our people can count on the efficient and transparent release of funds managed by the DPM.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Over 800 members of Kadamay in Bulacan have denounced their ties with the militant group. Robbie De Guzman tells us why.
More than 800 individuals in the town of Pandi, Bulacan have denounced their membership from the militant group Kalipunang Damayang Mahihirap or Kadamay. They formed a new group which they named Pinagkakaisang Mamamayan Tungo sa Kaayusan or PMTK for reasons that they could not tolerate Kadamay's alleged twisted ideals. In particular, they are opposing Kadamay's collection of 100 to 300 pesos fee every time they would go out on the streets to protest. They admit that they too suffered harassment and threats.
Pag sumama naman po kami sa rally, hiningihan kami ng 200 pang rally po namin, tapos gutom pa kami minsan sa rally.
Panay hingi ng kontribusyon dahil mag-rally ng mag-rally. Pinapagawa sa mga membro kung ano-ano ang sinasabi o ganito mag-aaral. Tapos ngayon, mag-aral po ng mataas pa hanggat sa maging MPA ka na. Yung MPA na po ang pinag-aaralan nila, hindi na maganda. Kaya ang mga tao natatakot na sa kanila.
The group said the New People's Army was recruiting them to study and serve under the rebel group.
Pinag-aaral po nila kami at ang mga membro ng mga aralin para po sa komunista po. Malakas ang loob nila, lagi po nila kaming inaaras dahil pong alam po namin na meron pong nasa likuran nila.
Kadamay denied the allegations, saying they were only collecting 5 peso fees.
Hindi totoo na kami ay naniningil ng 150, 200, 300. Kada rally, wala kaming sinisingil. Meron kaming butaw sa organisasyon 5 pesos. Pero hindi naman nakakabayad dahil nga maralita nga yan.
Arellano insists that they have never been members of the NPA.
Hindi miyembro ang Kadamay ng NPA. Laging ikinakabit nila ito dahil kami ay progresibong organisasyon at kritikritik namin lahat ang maling ginagawa ng gobyerno.
In March 2017, Kadamay illegally occupied government housing units in Pandi. Security has been tight since then to make sure the safety of residents nearby are protected. Robbie De Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue.
Newly installed Customs Commissioner Ray Leonardo Guerrero vows unrelenting fight against corruption as he formally assumes the post today. He also clarifies that there will be no militarization at the agency, despite President Rodrigo Duterte's order to place it under military control and set all employees to floating status. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
Newly appointed Customs Chief Ray Leonardo Guerrero promises to be on top of the situation to get rid of the agency's corruption and avoid the slip of illegal shipments. Guerrero formally took over the post of former Customs Chief Isidro La Peña following a turnover ceremony earlier. Though Guerrero refused to detail his plans for the agency, he vows to strengthen trust, command responsibility, and intelligence in the BOC. The new BOC chief also clarifies there will be no militarization in the agency despite President Rodrigo Duterte's remark to place the BOC under military control and set all employees to floating status. Duterte made the statement on Sunday after a huge shipment of shabu concealed in magnetic lifters slipped by the agency.
Clearly, I'm a civilian and I'm the head of this agency. It's not a militarization process. Dahil clearly, the officers of the Bureau of Customs will still be in control.
Malacanang earlier said that there will be no military takeover in the BOC and that soldiers will only assist in the operation, hoping that their presence will intimidate corrupt officials. When asked if military officers will enter customs, Guerrero says this is still being discussed.
That is still for discussion. But the instruction since the President na sabi niya, choose people with integrity and with a high learning curve.
Prior to his appointment to BOC, Guerrero headed the Maritime Institute Authority and served as AFP Chief of Staff for 174 days. La Peña, meanwhile, was transferred to the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. In his farewell speech, he mentioned his accomplishments while leading the BOC.
Under my time, I have dismissed 4 personnel from the service, suspended 14 force personnel, 8 administratively charged. I was able to deliver during the last quarter of 2017, on November 10, the first milestone in the collection history was made, collecting the first highest daily collection for the year in the amount of 3.8 billion pesos. In May 2018, another collection milestone was recorded at 52.74 billion pesos.
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.